right, the room is filling up. I will start again. Good morning, everyone. We are very pleased to have you all here for our first joint webinar this year, how Ukrainian biomethane reaches European buyers, market structures, pricing, and requirements. My name is Luisa Beckmann, and I work in the marketing department at Agriportance. On our website, you can find information about all our upcoming events under events. This webinar is being recorded. We will send you the anonymized recording via email afterwards. A quick note, at the end of the webinar, you will have the opportunity to ask questions. Just type your question into the chat and our speakers, Mr. Geletuka and Mr. Dix, will answer them afterwards. And for now, I hope you enjoy our webinar, and I will hand over to our guest speaker, Mr. Geletuka.
Okay, hello to everybody. I will start my presentation. It's here. I'm Georgi Geletuka, head of the board of Bioenergy Association of Ukraine. Our association established 12 years ago, and now we have about 65 companies, our members. And it's two-thirds of our members working with biogas and last year's already with biomethane, and one-third working with heat and electricity production from solid biomass. By the way, agriportance is also our member, and as well as one more German company is Vogelsang. And at the moment, Ukraine has 5 operating biomethane plants. They are on the slides. It's their capacity, total capacity 52 million cubic meters per year. 3 of them connected with the gas distribution system and producing pipeline biomethane, and 2 of them producing bio-LNG. And exporting, all of them exporting this biomethane to European market, and bio-LNG exactly on the market of Germany. And the last column, you see real production of these plants in 2025. You see the biggest is these 2 plants of MHP. Totally, it's about 11 million cubic meters of biomethane per 2025 of pipeline biomethane, and about 6,000 tons of bio-LNG. And this is our next plants. And you see this first 2 is very close to start operation. They will start somewhere in the beginning of 2026. One of them is very big. You see 56 million cubic meters per year. And other is on the different stages, maybe even not for this year, but for 2027 or 28. And with total capacity about 95 million cubic meters per year. Why we consider that biomethane in Ukraine is perspective? Because we have largest area of agricultural land in Europe. We have cheapest raw material for biomethane. We have developed gas networks system, both gas distribution and gas transmission system. Our structure of agricultural enterprises are favorable for production of biomethane. We have big share of large and medium-sized enterprises. Typical size of land in one Ukrainian enterprises is more than 5,000 hectares. Many companies has dozens of thousand hectares. That it's quite big companies, and it's much easier to organize biomethane production on such size companies. And we see possibility of export of Ukrainian biomethane to premium EU market with ambition targets. And potentially in midterm, Ukraine can provide up to 20% EU needs in biomethane till 2050. It's the structure of Ukrainian biomethane potential, how we see it. Totally 21.8 billion cubic meters of biomethane per year. Unfortunately, we have not too much from different kind of manures, about 1 billion, but a lot from agricultural residues like straw and corn stems, more than 5 billions. And we believe very much in this biomethane from intermediate and cover crops. We calculate if we will use these cover crops for 20% of arable land of Ukraine, it will be about 10 billion cubic meters. That's we obviously need to start production from this straw and corn stems and from these intermediate cover crops. This is distribution of our biomethane potential around the territory. The darker color, the more biomethane in this area. You see the most interesting areas for biomethane production is center of Ukraine. Vinnytsia region, Khmelnytsk region, Kiev region. These regions is the most rich by raw materials. And the red lines is our main gas transmission system. And you see it's a good correspondence between potential of biomass and the distribution of gas pipelines. In these the most rich areas, we have quite a lot of possibilities for injection of biomethane in gas distribution and gas transmission systems. This is example of new feasibility studies which we are doing. It's 6, but totally we have experience with more than 15 feasibility studies which we did for Ukrainian agricultural business. And here is internal rate of return, different fluctuations, but you see that it's in average, it's like 26, 30%, 21, 26% average internal rate of return for such type projects in Ukraine. This is our optimistic view on perspectives of biomethane production in Ukraine. Now we are somewhere here and much less than 1 billion cubic meters per year. But in 2050, we see realistic possibility to produce 20 billion cubic meters of biomethane per year, 10 for export and 10 for internal consumption. For this, we will need 4,000 biomethane plants with average capacity 5 million cubic meters per year. For this, we will need investments about 40 billion euros. It will reduce greenhouse gas emissions on 50 million tons of CO2 per year, and it will create about 250,000 new jobs in Ukraine. And this is examples of our existing biomethane plants. You see, first it was started operation company Galsagro, 3 million cubic meters per year. On the base of existing biogas plant, which produced about 7 megawatt electrical, and 1.3 was converted to biomethane. Other continue producing electricity. Similar plant in the size, also 3 million cubic meters biomethane per year. It's a company Vitagro in Khmelnytsk region. Also started operation in the beginning of 2025, and all year they are exporting this biomethane. And this is 2 plants of MHP on the base of poultry farms. One in Dnipropetrovsk region. This plant initially produced about 5.7 megawatt electrical. Now they produce biomethane for pipeline. And second plant in Vinnytsia region, originally for electricity production, 12 megawatt electrical. Now they produce bio-LNG. And the second producer of bio-LNG is Yum Liquid Gas Company, and it is also constructed on the base of existing biogas plant with capacity 5.2 megawatt electrical, and they convert it to bio LNG in the middle of 2025. And also we see possibility to use biomethane not only for electricity or heat production, but also for maritime transport, for ships. And advantages of this, that we can produce biomethane from broad raw material basis. We can realistically produce biomethane from straw or from corn or from cover crops, and all these materials in the Annex 9 of Directive RED 2. And it means that this biomethane will be advanced. And it's quite difficult to produce, for example, liquid biofuels from this type of materials. That's why we see these advantages exactly for biomethane. High greenhouse emission reduction, that it's quite possible to receive negative carbon intensity, which is impossible for liquid biofuels. Cheap infrastructure for pipeline biomethane transport, that this is cheapest way how to transport fuel is pipelines. One of the cheapest option for decarbonization of maritime transport. And we have also now 5-6% of ships already converted for using of LNG, and they can use bio LNG directly. That's a direct market for this utilization of biomethane now. And in the future, share of these ships on the LNG will be higher. Experts estimate up to 20%. Ships will be equipped for LNG use and the same time for bio LNG. And the possibility to produce feasible biomethanol from biomethane. Because second direction for decarbonization of maritime transport is methanol, but mostly e-methanol from the conversion of hydrogen. But it's quite expensive. But we can produce biomethanol from biomethane, and it's cheaper at the moment, at least. Of course, we have some disadvantages: short time of storage, bigger volume of storage, lower calorific value, limited number of LNG-ready ships. And how we see perspectives of using of Ukrainian biomethane for maritime transport. The plants, biomethane plants, are in Ukraine. They produce biomethane for gas networks. And in other EU countries, we have a lot of natural gas which we receive from LNG, from USA or from Qatar. And then this LNG is regasification to natural gas. And then we can replace biomethane from Ukraine on the LNG delivered from abroad. And together with the proof of sustainability which we send to consumer, it will be bio LNG already. And this bio LNG could be bunkered to the European ships in European ports. This is economically most feasible way how to use Ukrainian biomethane, and this bio LNG will be cheapest from the possible. And similar approach could be if we can produce biomethanol. That typical methanol plant use natural gas as a raw material, and they produce methanol. And if we have connection of Ukrainian biomethane through gas network with this methanol plant, which is we have at the moment, plus this proof of sustainability sent to methanol plant. Together, it will be biomethanol, and we don't need, and this biomethanol will be much cheaper than e-methanol produced from hydrogen. That's how we see realistic next steps how to use Ukrainian biomethane. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much, Georgi. That was really insightful. And now I will hand over the floor to Henning.
Yeah, thanks a lot also from my side for the good overview of the Ukrainian market and also the possibilities. I would like to move on. A little bit giving you an overview of different market developments and also trading perspectives. When we look at European biomethane demand, my name Henning Dix. I'm one of the co-founders and also managing partners of the company agriportance, which I would like to present beforehand shortly. 5 years ago, my founder's colleague and I, Thorsten, we had a look into the German biogas market, biomethane market, and we saw on the one side there were a lot of questions regarding how to do this wet cert certification, how to calculate CI score, and transfer the certificates and the gas. Therefore, we built, on the one side, a solution where, we have a software and service concept for the whole Wet 2, Wet 3 related topics with mass balance, CI score, transfer via Navizi, Blue POS, different geo transfers, and also the gas shipping itself. Furthermore, we also have a matchmaking process where we then connect the producers where we're working together with off-takers European-wide, for biomethane, liquid CO2, bio-LNG itself. We started in June 2021. In the beginning, with a strong focus on biomethane in the German transport sector. Over the years, of course, we expanded our solution and currently are active in all European markets. Of course, with our background from Germany, many of our clients are based in Germany. Team of 38 employees and more than 650 paying customers across different European countries. But let us start, and I would like to start with an overview for you with opportunities and also risks and challenges we at agriportance see on a daily basis in our operations, which are faced by biomethane traders, which are faced by end consumers of biomethane, but also which are faced by producers, of course. Starting with opportunities, I think this is always a little bit nicer. So growth levers in a dynamic European market. So a big opportunity, it's a really policy-driven growth. And the policy in Europe, it's quite strong and we're having a good good political momentum for biomethane. Maybe not so much in Germany, but especially from the European Commission and in different national states like Czech Republic or the Netherlands, where there are good obligations in place. It's a strong policy-driven growth made by Red 3 and different national mandates, example given blend quotas or subsidies. What we also see as a big opportunity in the European market, and it's also quietly driven by the policy. We see on a strong shift towards negative CIs. So biomethane with a negative CI score. Georgie already mentioned it. So this is also a little bit a USP of biomethane, bio-LNG, that we can get this negative CI score also compared to different parts of renewable power and also, of course, compared to hydrogen or different e-fuels. And we see a strong growing demand in Germany, the Netherlands, and also other European countries for this -50, -100 gram CI biomethane. Besides of this shift, there's also the shift from crops to waste, which we also saw over the last years that within the Red 3 period and with the fuel maritime and other demands, there's not only a shift to negative CIs, but also a shift from mysilage to different waste and manure products, which is of course an opportunity, but which can also be like a little bit difficult for instance, a producer who has more access to mysilage instead of manure or different waste. New use cases are emerging, which is, I would say, quite good for a market, especially when the market should grow. Use cases we're seeing the maritime sector, but also green hydrogen from biomethane are markets which are emerging currently or since the last years, but especially the maritime sector since the last year. Green hydrogen from biomethane is a little bit different from each national state in Europe, but there are some which are promoting this quite a lot. Example given Spain. But on the other side, we also see like risks and challenges besides of these opportunities in European biomethane trading. And we mostly see this risk due to these challenges in a fragmented and shifting landscape. On the one side, the regulatory fragmentation in Europe. So there are quite country-specific rules and also implementation timelines for certain things. For instance, like the whole RED III transposition, where we see that the RED III was slightly different transferred in Germany than compared to France, which makes it somehow difficult for traders, for end customers, for producers to really navigate this whole regulatory framework within the different European member states. What we also see, and it's also a little bit due to the regulatory fragmentation and regulatory changes, but also because it's a young market, we see high volatility in pricing and also demand, which leads to spot price fluctuations, overcapacity risk, and also dependency on political frameworks. And frankly speaking, this makes it, for instance, for investors like private equity funds, but also like for banks, quite difficult to invest in this market because there are so much uncertainties. What will be the biomethane price in 2 years? What will be the biomethane price maybe in 10 years? Nobody knows. And this fluctuation, which we saw over the last years, which also has led to several bankruptcies in the markets, are not so easy to handle when you want to become active or are active in the market. The whole transaction and verification is quite complex. Also, if you compare to natural gas, it's a total different story what you have to do with biomethane. The whole mass balance, GHG reporting, sustainability checks are high risk when not done properly. But despite of this risk and challenges, we at agriportance were quite optimistic how the biomethane market will develop over the next years, especially with all these opportunities. But going a little bit deeper into this transaction and verification, I think especially from a Ukrainian perspective, it's good to know to have like some overview what's quite relevant in the European market, also when Ukrainian biomethane gets into the European market. I brought a few definitions and a little bit an overview with me. On the one side, there's a differentiation in the biomethane market between the so-called guarantees of origin and also the proofs of sustainability. Guarantees of origin, mostly like GO or GOO, a proof of sustainability, mostly POS in the shortcut. The guarantee of origin, maybe also well known from power production or power trading, proves that an amount of energy is created from a renewable source. For instance, 1 GO is 1 megawatt hour, depending a little bit on the national state and also the GO registry there. The proof of sustainability are then verify that biomethane meets sustainability criteria. Example given, the CI score. So if it's -50 or +10, also it shows if there are sustainable feedstocks used and which type of feedstocks, of course, and so on. Of course, this proof of sustainability proves the sustainability across the entire value chain. Most companies are using certification systems like 2BS, Red Cert, ISCC, also to achieve this here. And the guarantees of origin, they're like national registries like Vertice in the Netherlands, Energinet in Denmark, who then are generating this GOs by the production. When we talk about trading, there are some off-takers or some markets which demand both, like the guarantee of origin and the proof of sustainability. But there are also like markets which only require a GO, and for the end market, it doesn't matter if it's a ISCC certification or not. And some markets, for instance, German transport sector, UK transport sector, they would only demand this proof of sustainability. So this is really depending in which market you are, and even there changing, of course, depending a little bit on the regulatory view. But also there, when you want to have a deep dive there, please feel free to contact me because the complexity is quite high. And of course, you have to be aware how it's going. One certain differentiation I wanted to give you is like a little bit the overview of the European biomethane market between the subsidized and unsubsidized biomethane. There we also receiving various questions from producers and off-takers. Therefore, I wanted to give you an overview because it's quite important and a quite big differentiation between the different production countries itself, but also regarding the different demand countries. So for the definition, subsidized biomethane is supported by feed-in tariffs from the government. So you get like, depending of course of the government, 20, 30, 40, 50 euros per megawatt hour by injecting the biomethane into the gas grid. But the biomethane can still receive the guarantees of origin and also the proofs of sustainability, which then of course can be traded in a market which allows subsidized volumes. On the next page, I will also go a little bit deeper into which markets can produce and which market offtakes. Of course, the opposite is unsubsidized biomethane. There is no governmental feed-in tariff. It can be that an unsubsidized biomethane certificate or unsubsidized bio-LNG got a capex subsidy from the state or from some local authorities, but they do not get a feed-in tariff per megawatt hour. And quite clear, the revenue is generated from the sales of the gas plus its green attributes, which are higher premium price than subsidized biomethane. So there's quite a correlation when it's unsubsidized biomethane. Doesn't matter the feedstock and also doesn't matter the CI score. In general, the unsubsidized biomethane has a better price, which is of course varying depending on market situation, but also depending a little bit on the quality itself. But in general, between 10 to 50 euros per megawatt hour differentiation between subsidized and unsubsidized prices. Yeah, here you can see a little bit the overview of relevant production countries and also relevant offtake countries for unsubsidized biomethane. To make it clear, in the Ukraine currently there is no feed-in tariff itself in place. So therefore, Ukraine would also be by definition a producer of unsubsidized biomethane. But to give you a further example, so like Denmark, Germany, the Netherlands, Spain, Poland, Czech Republic could also be produced as unsubsidized biomethane. The Danish and the Dutch producers, there is one speciality because these producers are in a quite good role because especially the existing plants there can switch between subsidized and unsubsidized production even on a monthly base. For instance, a Danish producer could say, this January I would like to take the feed-in tariff because I see good prices in the subsidized markets, but in February I don't want to have the feed-in tariff because I can sell better in the unsubsidized markets. So this makes it quite nice for them. But yeah, Germany, Spain, Poland, Czech Republic are in the same boat as Ukraine. off-takers for this unsubsidized biomethane. Here are some examples. Germany with the transport sector with the GHG quota for bio-LNG, biomethane. Switzerland, mostly regarding their heating obligation. The UK, also there in the transport market. The Netherlands in the near future with the so-called Bijmengverplichting, but also Czech Republic, Spain, and Lithuania having different obligations in place which demand that the biomethane is unsubsidized. And of course, these markets can be of interest for Ukrainian biomethane, but a lot of these markets also require a transfer of the so-called guarantee of origin, which I explained before. And there are like two systems in the European market how to transfer these GOs, which I wanted to shortly present. On the one side, the AIB Hub, Association of Issuing Bodies. Yeah, it's a European platform for exchanging so-called GOs. They are like more from the power side, but also adapted green gases since a few years. They are ensuring standardized and reliable energy tracking across member countries, and they then connect national registries via the AIB Hub for cross-border geo transfers. For instance, the Energas registry in Spain is then connected with the Vertisa registry in the Netherlands so that they can easily exchange GOs from Netherlands to Spain or vice versa. And AIB Hub is covering electricity, gases like green gas and hydrogen. The second system, which is relevant, is the so-called ERGA, European Renewable Gas Registry. It's quite similar, but they're having more biomethane focus and not biomethane and green gases focus. European Network for Biomethane and Renewable Gas Registries, of course, enables also cross-border transfers of biomethane certificates, works towards harmonization of national registries and verification rules, supports the recognition of biomethane origin between member states. What's important to know is where AIB Hub and ERGA are active. This is the most actual map I got from the AIB Hub at the homepage, and I think it's quite actual. We see here a map of different European countries, and you see like this fire symbol. They are then also full member of the electricity and gas scheme group. So these are also the relevant markets for biomethane. When there is not this fire symbol, they are only in power when there's only this blizzard. Maybe Ukraine is already applicant for the electricity scheme group. And what we saw in the history that most countries, for instance, also the Netherlands, first they were part of the electricity or power, and then also they adopted the green gas scheme. For instance, this is also a similar route Denmark and Germany are currently taking. So they are already applicant in the AIB system with power or with electricity. And the next step, of course, is also to adapt the green gas scheme in Germany, maybe in the next year. Denmark with a similar timeline. In Germany with the UBA registry, and Denmark with the Energinet registry. And of course, when you have like an off-taker, for instance, in Spain and the Netherlands, who is demanding that the GO is transferred via the AIB Hub, and also his authorities are saying it's getting quite difficult to get Ukrainian biomethane or biomethane GOs into these markets. So this is like a high restriction we see in trading Ukrainian biomethane into different European markets, which makes, of course, the markets you can target smaller, especially with biomethane. With bio-LNG, it's like a little bit a different story because there you trade transport the physical product, so there it's a little bit easier. But to be honest, there are also some markets who do not require AIB or ERGA transfer, so only the transfer of the POS and some other certain things, where then Ukrainian biomethane can, of course, target this market. This is the ERGA overview. Currently, you see that, yeah, Germany, Denmark, UK are like the relevant players at the ERGA map. Also, Ukraine is here interested in joining the ERGA scheme, so also good. To be honest, the Netherlands is fading out of the ERGA registry quite soon. So they're having both systems currently in parallel. But to be honest, the AIB hub has currently a higher dominance in European biomethane market, and it seems like that in the future years, this dominance will be even bigger, especially when, for instance, Denmark and also Germany are part of the AIB registry. AIB has like the strict rule that when AIB hub is in place, this can, on the midterm, the only system which is then up and running. For instance, in the Netherlands, there's now a transition period, which will, for instance, also come in Denmark soon, where you then have both systems in parallel, but on the long run or after 6-12 months, depending on the timeline of the transition period, there will be then only the AIB hub left. And of course, when Ukraine would be part, for instance, of the AIB hub, there are many things easier when it comes to the transfer of the GOs. Yeah, but of course, currently it's more a restriction that many AIB off-takers and sometimes also ERGA off-takers depend on using this transfer system. Yeah, but coming to a little bit to the Offtake possibilities and the examples I'm bringing are only like part of the Offtake market in Europe, which is where there are many markets currently evolving, but these are, in my opinion, the more relevant ones for Europe, or also when you want to import or when biomethane from UK or Ukraine is getting imported into the EU. Road transport, there are different markets which are interesting, like the Dutch transport market, Czech transport market, and Spanish market. These are quite new markets. Also, all three are based on a greenhouse gas quota, so similar to the German one, also CI-based, and they are evolving quite rapidly at the moment, while the British and German are like the in place since a few years now. A British RTFO currently a system which is energy-based, but there are also discussions that this British RTFO will also be replaced by a greenhouse gas reduction quota, German GHG quota. You may be quite aware of it. This is also based on the CI score. So you see new markets are coming, as mentioned in the beginning, but also we see the shift from energy-based, so per megawatt hour, to more CI GHG-based systems. So you're getting much more by having -100 product instead of +10, for instance. Maritime, two big frameworks are here partially in place or will come in place. On the one side, the FuelEU Maritime, which is active since now 12 months and a bit, so since January 2025, and the so-called IMO Net Zero framework, where the decision was postponed. The FuelEU Maritime framework would be in European waters, while the IMO Net Zero framework would be a global obligation. But to be honest, we are already quite happy with the FuelEU Maritime, so we're seeing that there is new demand upcoming from different shipping oil companies, maritime players. Also here, due to the systematic of the FuelEU Maritime, it's also a system where you get more money by having a highly negative CI score. The current status of the IMO Net Zero framework would be similar. There are still some discussions on the GHG methodology, so how to calculate the CI score, but especially the FuelEU Maritime increase the demand, especially for negative CI waste-based certificates. Currently, most off-takers are taking here subsidized volumes. There are different heating obligations upcoming. For instance, the Dutch Bijmengverplichting, the Irish heating obligation, and the Swiss heating market, which are also creating a decent demand in the upcoming years or are already creating it. So these markets you also have to put on your watch list. Besides of that, there are also other markets who are creating currently different heating obligations. But to be honest, these three are the most relevant ones, and the ones where you can be really certain that there will be also increasing demand over the last years. In other European markets, there are currently more drafts or big discussions, like in Germany with the GEG, on how to structure it for the next years. As mentioned, like the transport and the maritime sector are quite relevant for biomethane, bio-LNG. What we have here is like retrospective, but also future outlook for the LNG demand from road transport, mostly trucks, of course, and LNG demand from shipping. Both markets are relevant, but of course, I want to give you the comparison that, of course, the shipping LNG demand is already much higher. So in the year 2025, for instance, something like 13 terawatt hours compared to, roughly speaking, 70 terawatt hours here in 2025 and maybe 80 terawatt hours in 2026. So it's a fivefold is the demand in the shipping industry, and also the prospection of the next years is that in the shipping there will be better development of the demand. And of course, these LNG can then be easily replaced by bio-LNG as a drop-in fuel with the existing technology, with the existing bunkering logistics or the existing filling stations in road transport. So there it's quite interesting what will come over the next years. And when you look current biomethane production in Europe, maybe 2026 we will hit this 60 terawatt hour target. There is still much biomethane which can be produced on new production units which can come, which could be quite interesting to bring it in this good paying road transport. Maybe to conclude everything, here I brought a little bit the different prices we currently see for the German market. Of course, other markets are sometimes paying a little bit different, but I just wanted to give you an overview there, how the prices developed over the last year. What we see here, differentiation in the CI score -100, +10, and then crop biomethane. The crop would be then German production for the +10, the -100, it could be also imports. I think what's quite interesting to see that since early summer, since June, prices for this -100 quality are increasing a lot. So currently around 134, 135 euros per megawatt hour for gas and certificate, while the other qualities, waste and crops, are a little bit decreasing. When it comes to the future perspective, especially for the manure biomethane, we see further increases possible in the next 2 years. So there's a quite good fundamental understanding that with these new demands which are upcoming, but also with the domestic German transport sector, it will be still a good market for producers to sell, but also for CNG station operators, LNG operators to expand their portfolio, because there are good quota systems in place with the GHG quota, but also when we look into the emission reduction in Hayden in the Netherlands, there are good markets either already there or like coming in the next years. And waste, we believe that this is a solid price for the waste product, but also there, due to the shift of this more -100 direction, it would be maybe more interesting to have a waste plant with a CO2 liquefaction to also target these new markets, which demand maybe also this negative CI scores. So this will it be from my side. Thank you very much for your attention. I hope I could give you a little bit an overview of how European biomethane trading is currently working like. And I'm happy to receive questions either in this call or afterwards. You can find my contact details here.